Good morning. I wish I could give you a good update on how Father's doing. He's still ill, but from what I understand, he is feeling a little bit better. He did have some improvement this week. So keep him in your prayers. And many who heard him were astonished. And we've all, from time to time, been astonished by another person or persons at some point in our lives. I know I have. Many times, actually. Once in a while, I feel that way about a teacher or a priest or a friend at times when I first meet them. An author who I've never read before. And I might say to myself something to the effect of, wow, she really knows how to understand people and explain things. I feel that way some way about people I'm hearing for the first time in an interview or a panel discussion. Or towards a teacher whom I have not met before. And I think to myself how much he or she knows about a particular subject. Or have you seen some of those talent shows? Or my favorite is probably America's Got Talent, where you see some of the performers and their act or their song and their skill is surprising, astonishing, because such a powerful voice coming from someone who doesn't look like they're able to sing, or maybe it's a child. It's huge and captivating sometimes. Astonished. I've been floored by the abilities of others, impressed and completely caught off guard by what someone else is able to do or say. In case you didn't pick up the common thread running through these cases, it's this. In each one, my astonishment was directed towards someone I didn't previously know and certainly had never met. In other words, I didn't really have any preconceived notions or ideas about their abilities and talents. And so it was a lot easier for me to be astonished and impressed by what they were able to say or do. Put it another way, I didn't have any prejudices or biases towards them at all that might have gotten in the way. There was no disconnect. And many who heard him were astonished. Those words, of course, describe the attitude of the townspeople towards Jesus after they heard him teaching in the synagogue on the Sabbath day. And these weren't strangers. These people almost certainly knew Jesus' love. Many of them had probably seen Jesus grow up. Maybe saw him take his first steps, say his first words, learn his first verses from the Torah or other sacred writings. They probably remember him playing with the kids in the area, helping out his parents, laughing, crying, questioning, wondering, whatever you can name. In other words, they probably thought of Jesus as a regular kid, living a pretty ordinary sort of life. And then, well, they were astonished. And they had a hard time accepting it. And so quickly their astonishment and praise dissipated. In its place, through a kind of suspicion, a kind of doubt, a kind of who does he think he is kind of attitude. And so they took offense at him, making it such that he was not able to perform any mighty deeds. I guess you could say that they were sort of tainted by their previous knowledge and experiences of him. This new, grown-up Jesus, in their minds, didn't match the person they thought he was. Put simply, they were pretty sure that they knew precisely what he was capable of or not capable of. And so do we. I'm not talking about Jesus. That's not it at all. Regarding ourselves. That's right, ourselves. We all know our limitations, or at least we should. We all know that we mess up and fail from time to time. We all know that we can get weary and crabby and overworked and discouraged far too often. We know that we can act selfishly and be lazy and distracted and do things half-heartedly. In other words, we know our humanity all too well. And like the townspeople in regard to Jesus, we are very familiar with what we're capable of or not capable of. So we think. It's true that we all have our limitations. I can't argue with that. I know I have more than I can count, but not in regard to everything. You see, when it comes to spiritual things, when it comes to God things, when it comes to things that ultimately matter, we really have those same kinds of limitations. No, we don't. We're not limited. Believing otherwise is kind of a lie, a sort of illusion. When it comes to being generous, when it comes to being kind, when it comes to being compassionate and forgiving and merciful, when it comes to love, there are no limits. We can love and love and love some more. And that love will never run out. And that's how we can change the world. God can and will work through you and me, just as we are. With all our faults, with all of our weaknesses, and even with our sin. As we heard from St. Paul in the second reading, my grace is sufficient for you. For power is made perfect in weakness. But it won't happen if we don't believe it. If we don't believe that flawed me and flawed you can do some pretty wonderful things when we do them for the right reason and for the right persons. If we aim low, we will achieve little. If we move tentatively, we will impact few. If we question our abilities in doing God's work, the outcomes will be exactly what we thought it would be. But if we believe and trust and let God come alive in us, who knows? May each one of us be astonished and open to all the wonderful things that our loving God has in store for all of us.